while they do that, because both teams will have a minute to check the board once the board is actually revealed, it was a great opportunity to quickly go through how this bingo will work. It's a bit wacky. It's a bit all over the place. But it's going to be a 2v2 lockout with both players starting on a save file with all the levels in this game available to them from the start, which will allow them to just spread out, do every objective under the sun, which is going to be very fun. I mean, if you haven't seen this game before, it's essentially a 3D pseudo-open world platformer game on skates, and many fans of the game will be very frustrated with me for describing it like that, but please bear with me. No one knows how to describe this game. It is a very, very interesting one indeed. So the game itself is going to be split into 3 main areas that are all kind of connected to the garage area, which each player you can kind of see in that area right now, and that's where they'll all start. There's going to be kind of the light side, dark side, and Kogane, which each have their individual levels within them. Generally speaking, if it's daytime, it's light side, nighttime, it's dark side, and late afternoon or actual sewers, it's Kogane. So within these levels, within the areas of levels where there's objectives which can be different points, as you can guess. One sec, I'm just going to nudge the bingos again. So yeah, for the most part, the points are a bit weird in this bingo, because in most bingos you'd expect, 1 square, 1 point, or, get a bingo and you win. But for this one, we've got a point system. So for most of the points, most of the squares are just similar, as all you need to do is collect a floating head on the map, which is a graffiti soul. These can either be on the level by default or made to appear by doing a challenge after finding a tape on the map. As well as that, there's also a few character unlocks dotted throughout the game, which each have their own kind of mini challenge to actually unlock and get the square. And all of these are just worth 1 point, the simple, usual stuff. There are these squares which say 100% graffiti, which mean you have to go through a level and do every single graffiti on the map. With this save file they have, all of the early game and late game graffiti combined into one massive jumble of graffitis to do. So these are worth 3 points just to kind of account for that fact that it's going to take significantly longer, or a bit longer depending on the level. It's very variable, huge gap between the fastest and the slowest, but it's worth 3 points to kind of account for that. And if we are somehow graced with a bingo in such a fast-paced 2v2 scenario, that's a whopping 5 points. I've got a lovely piece of software developed by 7thace in front of me to help me keep track, because otherwise my brain would melt. And it looks like both teams are having a look at the actual board, and we'll be starting now. Yep, here they go, they're off. So this board has quite a few squares, there's a few graffitis. In terms of area breakdown, we can expect people going all around the map because it's quite even. We've got ruyomii immediately jumping in, getting that Shibuya cubby in the top left corner. So you could see that they just grabbed that little floating head and got a square, no problem. Whereas twinkachu and 7thace are going to completely opposite ends of the map. Ace in Kogane and twinkachu in dark side. Whereas it looks like Yomsa and ruyomii have opted to go both into light side, with ruyomii immediately getting cubby in Hikage Street, and Yomsa getting Tricks 25. So Yomsa had to go all the way, grab a tape, and then come all the way back, or do all those tricks, and then grab the soul. So we can see twinkachu has gotten their first square, 99th air in the top right. So at the moment, it's doing really good for Team Puma. They got 3 points already. Though with all the squares being spread out as they are, maybe Ace and twinkachu combined know where they can go to get the map, like a bunch of quick squares once they've done this opening gambit. So it looks like Yomsa might be leaving the light side already, all the way to garage. Yep. Meanwhile, twinkachu has also opted to go back to the garage, and we've got 7thace in the bottom point of the Tokyo Underground Sewage Facility, marking their first square here. Bottom point's Tricks 50. gives the Team Puma a good indication of where Ace is, whereas twinkachu seems to be going towards Ace in terms of the Sewers area. Meanwhile, ruyomii is picking up more Hokage squares. So just looking at the board at the moment, there's Hokage graffiti still there. I can't imagine, that is one of the longer ones and easier to go wrong. So I imagine we'll see that graffiti actually be done later between two players. Meanwhile, in bottom point, Ace has grabbed another soul and twinkachu is in Sewers grabbing the tape and then leaving to Kibogaka Hill. One fun quirk about this is we are currently using a co-op mod for this game made by our insanely amazing modders, which means that if one person on one team picks up a tape in an area, the challenges from that tape are available to the other player and that all that progress is synced up. We'll probably see the same for graffiti later on, so I'll point that out when that's going on, because this game definitely wasn't built for co-op in the way that it's been implemented. twinkachu giving me a heart attack, almost soft locking. Please do not. That would be... so they just did like they gained a bunch of speed and flew out the map. That's only doable in a few areas of the game. But if you do that wrong, it can go very wrong, so I'm glad that didn't happen. Meanwhile, we've got ruyomii. Looks like they're going to be doing a soul here, but they seem to have missed the jump. Meanwhile, Yomsa and Doganzaka Hill grabbing a default soul, as well as what else is on the board? There's one other one, isn't there? Yeah, points 50k, so those will be some quick squares as well. So they've got a really good early game. They've got 7 points, and with 15 to win, they're nearly halfway to their win condition. Meanwhile, twinkachu's climbing up this area. This character just kind of showed up, and all you have to do is talk them in the time limit, and then they will Nocturne. Brilliant. Oh! And then the sneaky move they've been doing, they've been setting up for that diagonal, so once, if they can get that, then they're in a really good spot. I imagine that Team Puma is noticing, but Sewers' special 150k points is notorious because not only do you need to climb up the entirety of a very vertical level, you then need to go up a 100-meter room, which has its name because it is a 100-meter room. It is a very long climb that most players just want to avoid, but this could be exactly what they need to come out ahead with getting a bingo there. So we've got ruyomii has decided to go into Dark Side, which is great. Just kind of looking at the board. I mean, if they get this diagonal bingo, it kind of blocks any shenanigans from Team Puma in terms of bingos, so it'll just be a case of get squares for our lovely production wizards. Looks like, ruyomii going to a fan favourite, going to the stadium to unlock Jazz, which is just going to be a simple race around a loop. Meanwhile, we've got Ace, who is doing some tricks at the top of the level to unlock the soul location. twinkachu grabbing bottom point half pipe as well to get an extra point. And there we go, that's 150k showing up on the top left feed. And all Ace has to do to collect it is do a bunch of wall rides. So in this game you can jump on a wall and then jump off a wall on certain walls. This level is just made up of those kind of walls, or this area of the level. So we've also got bottom point near cube from twinkachu, which is a great square. I mean, they're coming up on points. They've got kind of 6 to 8, so once Ace picks up the square, they're going to be in a very good position. In terms of points, they're not going to be very far behind whatsoever when Ace gets the square, and will come out with a lot of points, which is going to be very fun. Let's see, ruyomii still doing Jazz Race. It's roughly a minute or 50 seconds, so they will be finishing that shortly and marking that square. But Yomsa going up Sewers, I have a feeling that Yomsa may actually want to get 150k, thinking, it might not. So with the 150k taking so long, as you can see, Ace is still going for it. Most squares would be done ages ago, but this square is just that bad in terms of how long it takes to get. So maybe Yomsa's thinking that Ace is bluffing and won't actually go for 150k. If so, then Yomsa might be going for it herself, which it could be a lot of lost time depending on how far they get Or maybe they're just opting to go for 100k? What are they doing here? Okay, so they've done the unlock for 150k. But Ace is at the top, so all that time, I mean, there is a square, 100k is on the board, but there is the bingo, putting him at, is that 10, 11 points, 10 points to 9, so they're in a good spot. That bingo is just kind of really, flipped the game on its head in favour of the production wizards. Yomsa's going to go for 100k, because, got to get something. Ace fell. I don't know if Ace was expecting Yomsa to be going for that or what, but I guess there was a decent amount of time between squares for the players. Meanwhile, we've got Team Puma, we've got ruyomii in Dark Side, all the way in Sky Dinosaurian Square, doing 100% graffiti. That level is relatively quick, so I can imagine they're going to be doing that on their own. Meanwhile, twinkachu going into Dark Side as well. Just trying to think what's available. There is a soul in Sky Dino, and the fact that ruyomii hasn't picked it up yet makes me think that ruyomii is intentionally withholding that information from the production wizards to give them a head start on the graffiti, because that particular soul is quite quick to unlock. Oh wait, no, I'm pretty sure ruyomii picked it up. Platform under first swing? Or is that not the one I'm thinking of? The one downside about default souls is sometimes my brain just does not handle their location. Platform under the first swing. Oh no, that's gotta be the rooftop. So yeah, that's fine. They haven't actually picked it up. And I say that, but no, they have picked up a soul in Sky Dino, so I'm just talking absolute rubbish. There's no withheld information, which makes it really curious that twinkachu has gone to SDPP and Sky Dino specifically, because unless, okay, no, we're seeing 7thace also going there. This is the fun of looking at 4 different screens, because this is a perfect time for me to mention the graffiti co-op that is possible in this. So ruyomii has been alone in this level for quite a while. They've managed to get quite a good head start, 12 out of 29 sprays. However, the spray progress is actually synced between both players on a team. So twinkachu is going to do some sprays, Ace is going to do some sprays, and between them, if they do this right, they can just come out ahead of ruyomii. And looks like ruyomii grabbing that other soul as well, which puts them ahead by 1 point, looking at our lovely score output on my end. Or was it 2 points? It's one of the two. There's numbers involved. But looking at, okay, so ruyomii getting quite a few sprays in quick succession from one another, so this may be quite difficult, but they are catching up, twinkachu and 7thace. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of sprays left for ruyomii, so it is possible that ruyomii just has the head start that they need. We can see 24 out of 29 compared to... So where are these final sprays? We've got 22 out of 29 on 7thace's side, 23 out of 29 on twinkachu's side. Like I say, if they can just about do this, they could maybe snipe ruyomii, but it looks like there's not a lot of sprays left for ruyomii. 3 sprays left for ruyomii, it's going to be tight. I genuinely can't say like who is closer to getting this. I mean, 25 out of 29, but ruyomii more or less done, 2 sprays left. 1 spray. Where is that final spray for them though? Oh my goodness, and the production wizards just about on the final spray for ruyomii sniped that square completely due to the power of co-op. So that's one of the circumstances where co-op really turns the game on its head, because usually each player's graffiti progress would be separate, wouldn't need to, wouldn't have any cross progression whatsoever. But thanks to that, what I thought was an absolutely insane play early on from twinkachu actually turned out to be exactly what they needed to snipe that square. Meanwhile, Yomsa's been all alone doing Hikage graffiti. They're 31 out of 50. One thing about Hikage is that in the early game, there's a lot of graffiti, And in the post game, there's a lot of graffiti, and because it's combined, there's a lot to do. So they've just been kind of chilling for a while, and 2 minutes since their last square mark as well. So I'm pretty sure the production wizards can kind of fathom that someone is going for Hikage. Either that, or Puma was doing co-op on that level as well. But I don't think they're going to think that, considering they managed to just get that soul with such a coming into the level so late. So now it looks like 7thace and twinkachu both going back to Garage, which means they could be going potentially to Churro Street. I mean, we're at the point here where 3 squares or 3 points for the production wizards would be enough to win. So if they don't go to Hikage Street, they're going to be in a really good position because they could get 2 from Churro Street, no problem. The real question is where twinkachu is going to go, because Kibo Special or SDPP 20 would be great. Oh no, are they getting greedy? Did they think that Yomsa was with ruyomii? This may be where the mistake is made, the critical error, as it were. Of course, it's easy for me to look at the teams and go, I know exactly where everyone is, but maybe they're thinking, you know, we've managed to snipe ruyomii to this one, well, ruyomii and Yomsa combined, let's do the same in Hikage Street. But unfortunately, Yomsa has had a completely, they've been completely on their own in this level, and they're about to complete it. The one saving grace is that while Yomsa marks a Hikage 100% graffiti, Puma is really close to the start of the level, so they can just leave as soon as possible. Though this does cause a slight problem, as with the score to win of 17 and Team Puma on 15, and, well, ryomii's in Churro Street, and, well, with Churro Cubby, I think the production wizards know how this is going to go. Unless they can just about snipe ruyomii, but it's going to be... Ace is leaving? Uh-oh. This is a bit scary. They're leaving ruyomii to his own devices, which usually I'd have no issue with, but in this particular scenario, I think that's going to... Oh. Okay, so ruyomii is waiting at the start of the special unlock sequence, waiting for Yomsa to go and grab the tape because ruyomii just rushed Cubby. So as soon as Yomsa picks up that tape, the challenges will be available for ruyomii. So let's see. Yep, there they are. And ruyomii will just do a short grind sequence here. And I would assume that Yomsa is then going to go to the Soul Unlock location. So this is... this feels like an abuse of co-op in a way. They are really using it to its fullest potential to do one single square. But to be fair, it's not just any square, it is the square to win. So Yomsa's going to wait here, and the Soul's just unlocked in front of her, and there we go. I believe, unless my count is wrong, that is GG in favour of Team Puma for game 1. So usually the teams like to play out the board, so I'm just going to see what their plan is. It's just 2 squares that they are going to be on opposite, like, individual levels to do. They're not going to take too long to unlock, and there's some good souls, and with the time to relax and calm, we can kind of have a lovely appreciation of just the amazing level design on display here. Especially with all the different areas being visually distinct. I mean, like I say, if it's daytime, it's light side, nighttime, it's dark side, and if it's orange, it's Kokane. I suppose like late afternoon, dusk type deal as well.
So this would be a great moment to get some messages in.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yep, go for it.
Well, before we do any big messages, we almost just hit top of the hour. That means we're gonna do a little hosting switch here. It means Pink Batman here and me gonna sign off, and You're gonna leave in the hands of equally competent hosting hands.
Oh, the humanity!
Try too much, Batman. It's fine.
I know we're leaving this in capable hands.
That's very that's very nice of you.
With Ariel and Lego, who is not here yet, but I'm sure he'll show up eventually.
Yeah,
Right?
he'll turn up eventually. It's fine. We're good.
Otherwise,
Anyway,
otherwise Ariel will just do a great job by herself.
Farewell, everyone.
So enjoy the rest of Jet Set Radio Future. I wanted to say Future Radio, but that's not the title here. And enjoy, and I'll see you guys next time.
Great. Thanks so much to Zonaris and Batman. They're lovely people, and I will be taking over my hosting duties. I would like to just relate to the runners and the commentators that, according to our Grandmaster Puba Floha, since we're a touch behind schedule, if one team wins 2 of these, we might call off the 3rd round. So keep that in mind. Anyway, thanks, and continue to bingo.
Looks like Ace is just picking up the final square momentarily. That was the unlock. And they just have to go pick that up, and it will be time for the next match. There we go, and that's the last square. So with 17 to 15, or actually looking at the, because like I say, we've got some funky point scoring, so the output I've got is 17 to 16, so that was just one square, which, ooh, that was a hard one to play though. I mean, it went back and forth between both teams constantly throughout that match. And Yomsu in the chat saying started going easy on them because they thought they were being too mean, and then they get hit with a diagonal. So, I mean, it's bingo. You gotta. It's the streets in Jet Set Radio Future. You just gotta go for it. Right, and they should hopefully be ready to start another one. Yep, looks like they're all readying up. So once they've got a new board, we will be, there we go. At least I think I've got the board on my end with some... Oh! So I've got my future vision on. I can see a good board. I can see a single graffiti, and it's a center square, which, in terms of extra points for a graffiti and extra points for a bingo, that could be very, very dangerous indeed. Like 3 out of the 4 players are ready as well. Oh no, all 4 are ready to go. So let's get scratching, as they say in the game. So they're going to have their first minute to look at the board, and now I can also have a minute to look at the board as well, which is lovely. So as you can see, you've got RDH spray 100% graffiti. Not a particularly long level, and in co-op it can be done quite quickly, so that could be done at any time in this match, but I imagine they're also going to go for a bunch of individual souls. There's some quick ones on here. Shibuya 007, Top of the Bus, is a good one, a classic, and Shibuya 119 Platform, which is on column 3, row 4, is also a very, very quick one. Other than that, there's a few kind of tape souls in Shibuya and a few in Dogen, but I think the real star of the show here is going to be Kogane and Darkside. As we've got, let's see, yeah, well, we've got 3 in Rokokudai Heights RDH and a graffiti, and then 2 in Bottom Point, 2 in Kibo, and then in Darkside we've got about 5 in the space of 3 levels that are connected to one another. So we've got that to look forward to. And with Team Puma winning that first game, one more game, and they have got the best of 3. The players have started, and they will... Okay, looks like 7thace, Brave Play going into Shibuya Terminal, but Yomsa and ruyomii both going to Shibuya Terminal. So where are they going? Looks like Ace and Yomsa doing a similar thing. Oh no, Yomsa doing something completely different, going to platform. ruyomii going to... looks like they went for top of bus and they missed it, but then they got it this time. That jump is it's very deceptive. It'd be quite difficult to actually pull off. It looks like Ace has gone straight for the tape, picked up Shibuya Air 3, and Shibuya Points 100k is also available. Don't know... I'm not the best at remembering where all the different point rails are on this map. I'm pretty sure they should be fine. Oh, okay, yeah, they're going to jump off that billboard. Very, very smooth unlock there. Really showing the depths of their game knowledge to be able to kind of go from a trick combo into a wall ride into a air trick. That gives you a lot more points than if you were just to stay on a rail, so that's very, very good to see. So, twinkachu going very deep into Darkside. This is like the furthest you can go into that area of the map. Into SDPP, or not SDPP, Sky Dino. It always catches me off, SDPP and Sky Dino, because you think, oh, S&D. But no, Sky Dino, different level entirely. Meanwhile, we've got Yomsa and Dogenzaka Hill. twinkachu going Sky... Oh, okay. So maybe they're threatening that bottom row. Sky Dino under Brontosaurus as well. 2 very, very quick souls. Though with Yomsa in Dogen, Trix 20 will be easily available for them to block that. But Ace in Rukokudai Heights, maybe they'll go for the diagonal again if they're feeling particularly cheeky. But I think with Yomsa and Dogen, I think both of those potential bingos are going to be blocked quite quickly, which keeps things interesting and everyone on the edge of their seats, I think. So let's see, twinkachu leaving Sky Dino. Got both of the 2 available squares there. Air 4 unlocked from 7thace, which makes it look like they could be going for that diagonal. And maybe it would still be good to get that diagonal, but it looks like Ace isn't going to go for it, because I say go for the diagonal. If they got 100% graffiti, the other diagonal would be available. And between Sewers and Highway 0 and SDPP wouldn't be the worst diagonal in the world. Yomsa's there blocking that one diagonal, and will shortly be blocking row 5. So that's all very, very good. Ace going into Dogen, I don't know what they're necessarily thinking here, unless they haven't noticed. Yomsa has already marked a square in Dogen, and then 2 squares and then 3 squares. So Ace will be leaving Dogen. I think there may have been a situation where it's got a bit too greedy there. Meanwhile, we've got Team Puma going for the Rukokudai Heights platform above Cops 2. So SDPP points 110k is going to be absolutely vital for twinkachu to get here to block another bingo opportunity. Meanwhile, 100% graffiti, it looks like there's a greater than 0 chance that ruyomii might be working towards that. Maybe enlisting the help of Yomsa just to get that centre square on lock. Meanwhile, Ace in Rukokudai Heights. And it looks like... Oh, went for a really, really tricky jump there. That's the kind of jump that, realistically, I'd only really see someone go for it in the IL, so very, very good attempt there to try and get up the chimney. I'm just trying to see where... Okay, looks like they're going for the graffiti route. Or are they? I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. I suppose if they start on the chimney? And they're not going for graffiti at all, they were just going for that special unlock, which is fair enough. So maybe they're just assuming it's very likely that ruyomii and Yomsa are going to go for that graffiti. So instead they're going to block another potential bingo and hopefully come out ahead on squares. Yomsa's all the way over in SDPP, but with twinkachu with their head start, we've got SDPP 107 about to be marked. Oh wait, that's grind 20, and then 107 or points 110k is relatively nearby. That kind of gives Yomsa the heads up of twinkachu's here, twinkachu's had time, leave essentially, you know, go find a different square to grab. So, looking at the points, I mean it's more or less neck and neck on points, with Production Wizards just coming out ahead. ruyomii working hard on 100% graffiti and Rokokudai heights, but depending on how twinkachu plays this, they might be able to deal with that. I mean, Yomsa's got a head start into Highway 0, which has 3 squares, and I would imagine twinkachu's probably going there next. So without the knowledge that Yomsa was in this area of the map, they may also be going there, and this could cause some problems. Though Highway 0 has just been marked, so I'm sure, yep, twinkachu's taking that and just going. Oh, okay. My favourite thing about Jet Set Radio Future Bingo is when I just notice something and go, oh, because while Team Puma's going to commit to going for that centre square, looks like Production Wizards, we've got a decent likelihood that Bottom Points Tricks 50 and Tricks 60 in Kibo will be unlocked, which would be a bingo. Both of those squares are relatively close to one another as well. ruyomii at the moment is the only player that really is close enough to block it. Oh, and it looks like they've left mid-graffiti route. Uh-oh. So now it's going to be a 50-50 more or less as to whether or not ruyomii goes into the area to block this potential bingo. Ace still on the unlock route, but they're quite close to actually grabbing the square. And it looks like ruyomii into bottom point, so there's a loading screen involved. Ace marks the square, so ruyomii is going to immediately leave. twinkachu right behind them though. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what this team does, because I imagine twinkachu is going to go straight into Kibo, but ruyomii is already in there, has the head start. If they wanted to be very, very greedy, high risk, high reward, they could try and co-op the level. Looks like ruyomii is going for the fence jump, a classic strat that has more or less been superseded by a stall launch, and they've missed it the first try. It's a very, very difficult trick, so this gives twinkachu an opportunity. Oh, it doesn't, no, not enough speed there. So both players are trying to make their way through the level as fast as possible. Ace also joining twinkachu and Kibo, so it looks like we might get a bit of cooperative play here. Unfortunately, twinkachu just can't quite get the speed. Meanwhile, ruyomii going through the level normally, but got a bad death warp there. Both players kind of having a bit of a struggle here. Looks like twinkachu might just be going through the level normally, while 7thace is trying to get the stall launch. That stall launch being particularly finicky. The idea is that you'd stay on that rail just long enough to build up a lot of speed, but that just doesn't seem to be happening at the moment. Meanwhile, Yomsa just chilling. Probably going to wrap up Rokokudai heights, which is fair enough. Just looking, where's Ace going? Leaving the level, maybe? Maybe assuming... I'm not sure exactly what's... Okay. Okay, yeah, go for it, yes! Okay, I'm watching this and I'm very interested to see if this works out. Ace is doing tricks on the top left, while twinkachu is actually going to unlock the tape, which allows tricks to be unlocked by 7thace. So if this works out well, they will get that square really quickly, whereas ruyomii could potentially catch up, but with twinkachu closing in on the tape, ryomii's got to do the entire sequence of 60 tricks. So it's very likely that once again, the Production Wizards will actually use co-op to their advantage and prevent that square from being marked. And there we go, we see from 7thace that the soul has just been unlocked because they've been busy doing tricks all the way to this point, and that is a bingo for the Production Wizards. Meanwhile, while we've been focusing so much on that particular area of the map, Yomsa's just been chilling in Rokokudai heights, finishing off the graffiti, which she has done, which puts them quite close to one another in terms of points, though with 16 to win, that puts the Production Wizards in a very advantageous position. So let's see what's left on the map. There's Bottom Point, 99th Street, Sewers, Kibo, and Highway 0. So there's no obvious spot that anyone could go. I'm kind of surprised that no one went to unlock Boogie and Kibo, as they were just in the level. So I am going to be curious to see what they go for. Yomsa looks like she's going for 99th Tricks, so that's going to be a relatively quick soul. But I'm kind of... Okay, Ace is going for Bottom Point Air 4. I don't know what twinkachu's going for, but I feel like there's a decent likelihood that they might go for Tricks 40, but will be in a decent spot on the map to go away from Tricks 40 and go all the way to Highway 0 and unlock Soda. Looking at the points with the Production Wizards, with the lead they have, they're going to be in a very good position once Ace has unlocked their 4. There we go. So that will take them a while to actually pick up, but everyone's just in their own little world at the moment. They're all in different areas and that. twinkachu heading back to Garage. They're not going to commit to Highway 0, which does appear to be the play, because Yomsa is going all the way to looks like Highway 0. So Yomsa's going to be very deep into Darkside to get this one square, which might not be the best play given the circumstance, but when every square matters, you've just got to go for whatever you think is best. And I think it's almost a Jet Set Radio Future commentator meme at this moment, where it's like, we know everything that's happening, they don't, and so it's very easy for us to say this is the correct play here. Meanwhile, Ace with the Bottom Point Air 4 unlock, and let's see, twinkachu going into Kibo, good level, good level. Looks like ruyomii heading into Kibo as well. So unlock Boogie's a tricky one, because both players were in such a rush to get the tape that they kind of just zoomed past the character unlock, and now that square matters a lot. So if twinkachu's feeling brave, we may see another attempt at stall launch, and that would be kind of the decider, I think. Oh, they could go for one more attempt, or they could just go around the level. ruyomii going for the fence jump again. Kibo is just being a particularly mean level. Kibo is almost notorious for being a level with some very high risk but high reward strats really early on. Because if you get fence jump, you're halfway through the level, no problem. You're kind of sorted, you're chilling, you don't need to worry about anything going wrong. Meanwhile, if you just go through the level normally, you can sometimes just outpace someone that has gone for those tricks but haven't actually managed to hit him. So we've got Yomsa unlocking Soda. I imagine Ace is going to go for Hikage Street Tricks 55, which will be the last score on the board. And twinkachu going for Kibo. So if each team gets 1 point here, then it will go to Production Wizards with the Bingo Kicker, which is going to be fun. So all twinkachu needs to do here is just lock down this last square, get Boogie, and we saw Boogie earlier, very easy. You just go here, Boogie jumps to the top, and then all you need to do is get to the top of this area in 20 seconds. So barring a spectacular skill issue, I think we're going to see Boogie marked very, very shortly. There we go. That is game to Production Wizards, with Ace and ruyomii both going to clean out this board with Hikage Tricks 55. Very well played from the Production Wizards there. I was thinking Team Puma, they've got this in the bag, you know, they've blocked all the important bingos, and then out of nowhere Production Wizards just gets that Kibo Trick 60 bingo right there and just really locks it down. And again, another board that's gotten down to one square. Both these teams are spectacular when it comes to being evenly matched. Looks like Ace is going to quickly get 55 here, although it looks like ruyomii ahead. So maybe ruyomii gets the square, and then it would be a a 1 point square. Ooh, has the assault unlocked yet? Yep, there it is. So very well played by both teams. I'm just gonna tell them that because I'm all for compliments. So yeah, I believe that brings us into a game 3 against both these teams, so it's all to play for. Yeah, if there's any donations or anything, now's a very good time to do it because I just do not shut up. So
No worries at all. I honestly didn't want to interrupt you for most of that. That was like everything kept happening and there were things happening. I was like, I don't want to interrupt them. They're busy. Well, we don't have any donations to report, but... Oh, wait, no, there isn't it. Oh, my goodness, there is a donation to report. I just didn't refresh the page. I'm so bad. I'm so sorry. We have a $168 donation from Modern Day Neat. The Neat's in all caps. I had to say it like that. My last donation was for my son's favorite bingo to watch, so this one has to go for my favorite game to watch. Bingo in 2 games back-to-back is awesome. Modern Day Neat, thank you so much for that very generous donation. And I believe this puts us at, for our best of 3, each team has won 1. It's time for the tiebreaker. So take us away, Spats.
yep, looks like both players are ready to boot up and have a look at the board. I'm just waiting for them to send me the information of this next board. I don't know who generated the boards. I think I have a feeling who, but if it was who I think it is, they didn't get any look at the board beforehand. So that board we just had for game 2 was particularly interesting with the Rokokudai Heights spray graffiti in front and center. Ace is just going to need a few seconds. Looks like they've accidentally hit new game. I think that'll be... Ooh. Yep. I think they've put in the wrong board, so I'm just... Oh wait, maybe not. Maybe I need to check from my end. Oh no, it is different. Just not updating my end.
If we're still on setup, I can fill some time if you need me to.
I think they've just... yeah, I think it was just... they put in the wrong board, but I think they've just figured it out.
Alright.
They were giving twinkachu credit, and then twinkachu was like, no, it was me.
I mean, a bingo board is the kind of thing that... Does anybody really want to ever take credit for rolling that seed?
No, especially not with...
There are no good seeds, you know?
Yeah, no.
Well, if you guys need a minute or two, I can fill the time. I can do a promo for a very important thing because it's the reason we're all here today. We are doing a Bingo Winter Marathon to support Fred Hutch, which is a charity that have earned a global reputation for their track record for discoveries in cancer, infectious disease, and basic research, including important advances in bone marrow transplantation, HIV/AIDS prevention, immunotherapy, and COVID-19 vaccines. All of the donations that are being sent in today during this stream go directly to Fred Hutch and directly to fund all of that amazing research. All of your money is going to a great cause today, so keep those donations coming in. Love to see it. Ace Bets, are you ready?
And you couldn't have timed that better because each player's about to start.
All right. I have great timing. Everyone tells me that.
So this board's all over the place. And 4 graffiti. Okay. Yeah, Twinkachu's going to have a stern talking to after this, I think, by all the players. So some quite long graffiti. So as soon as one team gets the points, we may cut it off as soon as one team has their win condition. Because as much as co-op is very fun to watch sprays, I don't think people want to see 4 spray. Some of those sprays back to back to back, but we'll see. So we've got ruyomii, 7thace, and twinkachu, and everyone going for a Kage Street, which makes sense. I've just looked at the board breakdown. There's 6 squares there, so they're all going to be working co-op on this one area of the map. 7thace immediately on Crane just sniped out Yomsa. Oh goodness, they were neck and neck by the frame. Yomsa just taking just a second to clock what's just happened. Oh wait, no, preparing for special to be unlocked. Okay, there we go. So no, it wasn't taking a second. They were masterfully waiting for that. Waiting for ruyomii, their teammate, to grab the tape so then Yomsa could just drop down and get the special soul, which is really well played. ruyomii immediately getting tricks 55. There's another square, Air4, which looks like twinkachu has done what needs to be done to actually pick it up, but Puma just snipes them out. Oh no, it is extraordinarily rare in a bingo match 2v2 that all 4 players go to the same area. So this is just kind of a very chaotic start. Looks like Ace is going up the center floating is on the board, but Yomsa just snipes him out to that, but Ace is going deeper in and gets Hokage points 200k, which is good. And now all the players are going to leave this level and we'll never see this level again. So in the first 2-3 minutes of this match, just an entire area has just been picked clean of all potential points. Oh goodness, that is probably the first time I think I've ever actually seen a 2v2 co-op game where all 4 players go to the exact same level. What an opening play. And these squares will almost certainly dictate what each team is going to do now. Puma potentially going to go for a bingo diagonally. I mean, ryomii's going into 99th Street, which they could go for Centra Dark, they could go for Stadium Unlock Jazz. Yomsa also going into 99th Street. I mean, all 3 of those squares are in the same area of the map. So this really puts the production wizards on the back foot, unfortunately. Centra Dark just marked by ruyomii. I wonder if twinkachu is going to go straight to Jazz to kind of respond to that, which wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, center square, I mean, it's a relatively long square, but it is the center square as well. And with getting bingos, having the center square advantage is very real, though it looks like twinkachu is going for 99th points 100k, which, while not a bad play, blocking that bingo might be important at the moment, as we can see. Okay, so it looks like twinkachu's unlocked that soul. They're going to be neck and neck with ruyomii going into Jazz, I would imagine. But ruyomii, with that time advantage, going straight into Jazz. Oh no. Oh no, twinkachu, please. So twinkachu's leaving the dark side area, but that means that... Oh? Okay. I'm kind of trying to clock this at the moment. There's just so much going on. ruyomii in Jazz race to unlock Jazz. Yomsa in Highway 0. That diagonal is pretty much locked down at this point, unfortunately, for the production wizards. That's going to be a huge early game advantage. And the classic benefit of seeing a diagonal bingo is that, you're not going to see any other bingos by the opposing team, so it really puts the team that grabs it in a really good spot. ruyomii having an interesting Jazz race. I mean, I'm not a Jazz race expert, but I think the cans aren't exactly ideal. It doesn't matter because they are in the lead by being the only person in this level, so they will finish out this race, unlock Jazz, and that is a bingo for Team Puma, which is great. So at the moment it's 19 to win, but with 11 points already on Team Puma, or 18 to win, 11 points on Team Puma, it is a very good early game for Puma. They may have this in the bag, but it's not early enough to really call it. The Production Wizards have come back from very, very, let's say, bleak early games before in the past in their matches of Jet Set Radio Future Bingo that they've played before. So I've watched them enough in the Jet Set Radio Future Bingo tournament to know that they could totally pull this back. Though it is going to be a uphill struggle at the moment, unfortunately. Meanwhile, we've got Yomsa going into Sky Dino, which has S6, decent square. So we can see 7thace and twinkachu both doing their own graffitis. Ruyomii going into Churro Street, but I can only assume Churro Street graffiti? I guess that, okay, there are points. There's 0.60k as well as Cubby on the board. I imagine twinkachu will be getting Cubby shortly, which will kind of help Ruyomii to determine what they're going to do. We've got twinkachu. There's a lot of sprays in Churro Street, but I am a big fan of Churro Street myself, considering it is the IL that is near and dear to my heart. But in Bingo, twinkachu's hit the point of no return, so has to kind of finish out this lap, get to the end. Meanwhile, Ruyomii, I've thrown myself off, I can't say names now, what is going on? Is going for 0.60k, yep, a Magus leave, which will give them a decent advantage to the next square they go for. But for Production Wizards, both of these squares combined will give them 6 points, so that's a solid situation to be in, for sure. Though with Team Puma having free reign to just do quick squares, might be an issue, but we can only see Ace kind of halfway through on FRZ Graffiti. FRZ Graffiti in particular is one of the longer ones, but with an efficient route you can really get through and just blitz through the entire level in no time at all. twinkachu coming towards the end of the level, looks like they've got quite a few sprays left, but a lot of the sprays are kind of kept in this area that's just about to appear just around this corner. And I mean, it's been about a minute and a half since Production Wizards have marked anything, so I think Team Puma can guess that they're working on something exciting, like sprays, graffitis. Though Team Puma have also had quite a long time between squares as well, with about a minute since they've last marked something. So while they're going around the map to set up, Ace and twinkachu have just been able to work towards these squares. Unfortunately, Yomsa and Ruyomii are just doing their own thing off in levels where Ace and twinkachu are not, which means they'll be able to get a lot of quick points without too much of an issue. Still spray 100% graffitis on the board, but let's see, what could they be going for? Suez Air 4 potentially? twinkachu marking Churro Street 100% graffiti, one of my favourite levels of the game, as I've mentioned, so lovely to see some Churro graffiti representation. Ace working on the FRZ graffiti still. Not a lot left to do here, they've just got to drop down this kind of tube area. The lovely damage tube where you're basically guaranteed to take damage. Shout outs to that. Lovely bit of game design. And grabbing this spray, they've got 6 left, which are kind of on the lower areas of the level. If they're doing the route, I think they are, which won't take too much time at all. So really putting them, giving quite a good amount of points in a relatively quick amount of time. I mean, Yomsa and Ruyomii both doing their thing. I mean, it's completely possible through some absolute insane wizardry from both teams, or from Production Wizards specifically, that they managed to just grab all of the graffitis, use co-op to their advantage, no problem. I mean, Kibo Spray 100% graffiti is on the board. That could be quite a long one. With cooperative, with a co-op route though, that can actually be cut down to a very manageable time. Twinkachu actually going to Kibo now. ruyomii going for some cheeky movement in sewers. Though unfortunately sewers can be quite a tricky one to get that movement in. So let's see. Ace still doing FRZ, but if I was to guess, we're either going to see one of two things. We're either going to see Ace finish FRZ and go straight into Kibo and help Twinkachu kind of do all the sprays, or Ace might go for sprays in sewers. I'm not sure about that last one. What I'm trying to get at here is the production wizards actually have options to get points, but even if ruyomii and Yomsa just focus on squares, that would be it. It's 19 to win, or 18 to win, and 3 squares that are just do a soul or unlock a character. So getting Air 4, going to Kibo unlock Boogie, it's all kind of, that's all they need to do, as well as SDPP special. Meanwhile, production wizards have to get that graffiti and get a square. So, ooh, okay, so this is going to be interesting, because I think ruyomii getting a graffiti would also lock it down. And with Ace and Twinkachu both in Kibo, that kind of leaves Sua's graffiti free for ruyomii. Well, there's not a lot of graffiti in this level. It is very vertical and very long because all the graffitis are really spread out. It's kind of, because this level doesn't have any like early game graffiti in the actual Jet Set Radio Future itself, it's only the post game graffiti or kind of late game graffiti. But that graffiti is designed to make you go through the entire level. And I mean, it's not unheard of that a player falls down during this level, and it costs time, and a lot of it. This level is kind of notorious, casually sewers, for just wasting everyone's time, because you fall down and you've got to do the climb all the way back up. It's not fun. But ruyomii over on the top level, and one thing about sewers as well is we might see the return of 100 meter room. I mean, Ace and Twinkachu, they've got Kibo on lock. There's no way they can really lose that square, I don't think. But with ruyomii marking Air 4, and then about to continue with the graffiti, I'd imagine, that puts... Uh-oh. So I'm also looking... So obviously it's not over until the square's marked, but I'm just looking at this. If Yomsa just gets Kibo and Lock Boogie, and it looks like she's just skipping everything else. Ace going for graffiti first. Looks like if Yomsa gets this square, that's going to be... Well, it's not it. I mean, there's a point available, but with 3 squares and 2 players, Yomsa can just leave the level and just go for SDPP special, because I think it's relatively reasonable, with Kibo and sewers being 1 level away from each other, as in like they're literally connected to each other in terms of level loads. Yomsa can probably go to SDPP and just be very, very confident that she's not going to be challenged at all. Or maybe she'll go help with sewers graffiti, but having to do the climb to be able to help with that, I feel like that's unlikely. Though maybe... I mean, they've got 2 win conditions here. They either get the graffiti or they get that square. So, whichever thing Yomsa opts to do, it's not a bad call whatsoever. So here we go. We've got Yomsa's going for SDPP. It's one of those few moments where I can be 100% confident what someone's doing, because there's only one thing they can do if they leave an area. So that's fun. We've got ruyomii grabbing that spray there, which leaves 3 sprays left on the entire level, and they are all in everyone's favourite 100 meter room. So it looks like Team Puma may have this one in the bag. I say may, I am holding out hope, but unless ruyomii manages to just die in sewers, which, being in 100 meter room, they'd have to fall like 10 times or something ridiculous. Like, I feel like that's unlikely. You know, with the known skill of these runners, but it is possible. It's not impossible. There's a 0.001% chance, I guess. But it looks like with twinkachu leaving Kibo, we've got 7thace just wrapping up. I think I saw 2 sprays left for them. It looks like shortly, and I say shortly, it's 100 meter room, there's going to be quite a bit of climbing. But once that climbing is done, that will be it. 7thace coming up to the final sprays of Kibo. Puma's going to breathe a sigh of relief as soon as the square's marked, because they know that Suez is theirs for the taking. Yomsa also doing SDPP special real quick. Interesting unlock, because all it is just stay on this kind of rail, or like these rails around the kind of centerpiece the level for 60 seconds. So Yomsa just kind of doing occasional tricks to keep themselves on the rail. Meanwhile, ruyomii still going up 100 meter room. It just kind of is like that. Good old 100 meter room. Everyone loves it. Which is why it was kind of impressive seeing their 100 meter room diagonal early on in game 1. Because no one, like I say, no one wants to go for this unless they have to. And we will, unless ruyomii falls, we will see 100% graffiti marked, and that is GG for Team Puma. 1 square left on the board. Yomsa just going to go pick it up and wrap this final game up. Been 2 very close games, though this game Team Puma kind of came out swinging and absolutely got the early game bingo that kind of really helped them out, really put production was in the back foot, but they didn't play badly at all, getting kind of the amount of points they did given the circumstances. Very well played on their part.
All right, GG's to Team Puma. Excellent. I have never seen this game before, and not even seen a bingo of it, and that I couldn't tear my eyes away. This was so cool.
The amount of work that behind the scenes and kind of and the runners put in to make this bingo happen is absurd. Especially twinkachu and 7thace, they've done so much for the production side of things that it cannot be overstated how much effort they put in to make this as fast-paced and exciting as possible, even if it does mean I have to pay attention to 4 screens.
Again, I love a 2v2. I love it when you could have 2 people who strategize and plan out what they're going to do, but also can use information of what is happening on the board, literally, to plan out what they're doing next. It's so cool.
Yeah, and all these players are insanely...
Yeah, great game, and also, excellent commentary, Aspects. Excellent. All right. Well, I'm not sure if we want to do a post-game interview. I don't know if we have time. We're here at Bingothon. We believe that it's on time is we're a little behind schedule. We're doing our best.
I mean, those games are quite long, so if you want to, I can ask if anyone wants to come in. But if not, it's no problem.
Let's see. Yeah, I think we're already a little behind schedule, so I hate to have to say this, but I think we might have to skip the post-game interview for now.
Yeah, no problem.
So I gotta set up our next run, which is Ty the Tasmanian Tiger 2.
Ooh, okay.
If you can believe it. Bush Rescue, yeah.
Oh, I love that game, so I'll be watching that in the background for sure.
Oh, well, yeah, stick around. Yeah, it's going to be starting very soon. Big thanks to our runners, 7thace, twinkachu, ruyomii, Yomsa. Excellent work, all of you, and extra GG's to Team Puma. Just, again, excellent work, and again, excellent commentating from Aspects. If our lovely tech would like to bring us around.
In what do you think Minecraft bingos are the most challenging or engaging? Is it in routing or in execution, or is it in anything else?
That's a tough one, because the thing about the routing is that the routing is very difficult, obviously, because there's so much that can go wrong. But at the same time, because there's so much that can suddenly happen, good or bad, it can be very flexible. So suddenly, like midway through your bingo session, you could suddenly have like, oh, I got this item that's really rare that I need this for this goal. Maybe I can now do this row instead, and suddenly your route changes all of a sudden just because you found this rare item. So I'd say the most engaging part, like throughout an entire run, would be specifically getting yourself out of sticky situations. Like if you have an unforeseen issue or mistake or whatever, or you end up in some place that you didn't expect to be, is trying to figure out what's the most efficient or the most clever way that I can get out of the situation and sort of get me back on track to finish the bingo.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to Bingothon Winter 2022, sponsored by Team 17 and supporting Fred Hutch Cancer Research. My name is Lego. I'm joined here by Ariel Fabulous. We just watched some Jet Set Radio. Some fantastic gaming. That was a great best of 3 set.
Yeah, I honestly have never seen that game played before, and that was so cool. That was so cool.
Yeah, Jet Set Radio Future, always a delight to see here on the Bingothon stage. And what is also a delight, we've raised over $2,000, $2,100 exactly. And there's still plenty more event to go, so thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your generosity, and thank you for your support of our runners and of Fred Hutch Cancer Research Center here in Seattle, working with world-renowned scientists, humanitarians to prevent, diagnose, and treat all sorts of diseases, whether it's cancer, HIV, or in the case of 2020, the novel coronavirus pandemic. They've got multiple Nobel laureates among their researchers, and they are on the front lines of the battle against these hard to diagnose and treat illnesses. And every dollar we raise goes towards their research efforts to find those novel cures. So thank you again for your generosity. Any amount is greatly appreciated, and it is fantastic to have you here supporting us at Bingothon Winter 2022. And you can put that money towards all sorts of incentives, but also all sorts of prizes. In addition, our brand new, freshly announced VIP badges. Isn't that right, Ariel?
I'm very excited about the VIP badges. They look very nice.
They are very sharp. And if you want to be a Winter 2022 VIP, a minimum donation of $50 gets you entered in to win one of those or many other prizes. 3 mugs, a zip hoodie, a copy of Pokemon Scarlet, Team 17 games, or a copy of one of our upcoming runs, Ty the Tasmanian Tiger 2. A lot of T's in that title.
All right, I think our our commentator and our runner for the next game are ready to go. So,
Yep. So we've got some Zelda in the future, Ori and the Blind Forest beyond that, but right up next, Ty the Tasmanian Tiger 2 in a triple bingo. Run by Rob the Gamer 115. We'll be joining them in just a moment. See you then.